The Mercado Bakery Chapter 1, The Heat of the Night, 00:15. My name's Mateo, 29, and I've been working nights at this small bakery in Oaxaca City, Oaxaca, for 4 months now. It's 2015, and Oaxaca's alive with color, markets spilling with flowers, streets humming with music, but at night, it's just heat and dust. The bakery, La Rosa, is tucked in a corner of the mercado, all cracked tiles and sagging shelves, smelling of sugar and burnt flour. I'm Mexican, born here, but I left for Mexico City after my mom died, chasing something I never found. Came back when my sister needed help with rent. Kneading dough's simple: mix, fold, wait. Keeps my hands busy, my head quiet. Most nights, it's me, the ovens hum, and a radio playing old rancheras. Around 2 a.m., she walks in, Luz, the produce vendor from the stall next door, maybe 38, hair loose, eyes like she's seen too much but still looking. She buys pan dulce for her morning shift, always the same, 2 conchas, one for her daughter. Tonight, she lingered, counting coins slow, her fingers brushing the counter. Late night, Mateo, she said, voice soft, like she already knew the answer. Always, I said, wiping flour off my hands. She smiled, just a flicker, and left. Something about her stayed, like dust in the air. 00:47. Next night, she was back, same time, same order. I was shaping bolillos when she leaned against the counter, watching the streetlights flicker through the mercado's arches. You ever sleep? She asked, not looking at me. When the bread lets me, I said, trying to sound light. She laughed, quiet, like it slipped out. I noticed her hands, calloused, strong, a thin scar across one knuckle. Didn't mean to stare, but I did, and she caught me, her eyes meeting mine for a second before she turned away. Chapter 2, The Small Gestures, 01:12. By September, Luz was a regular. She'd come after her stall closed, when the mercado was empty except for stray dogs and the night guard's whistle. We'd talk a little, weather, bread, how the tourists haggle too hard. She didn't say much, but her presence was warm, like the oven's glow. I started saving her the best conchas, ones with extra sugar, wrapped them in paper before she asked. You're gonna spoil me, she said one night, her smile crooked. Someone should, I said, and my face got hot, like I'd said too much. She didn't answer, just took the bag, her fingers grazing mine. My chest tightened, and I spent the rest of the shift replaying it, the way her touch lingered. 01:39. A week later, we were closing up, the air heavy with rain. I was sweeping flour off the floor when she dropped her keys, cursed under her breath. I bent to grab them, and our hands met, her fingers warm, rough from hauling crates. She didn't pull away right away, just looked at me, her eyes softer than the night before. You don't have to help, you know, she said, voice low. This place wears you out. So why do you keep coming? I asked, still holding her keys. She shrugged, took them slow. Habit, I guess. But her eyes said something else, something I couldn't read. Chapter 3, The Weight of the Past, 02:04. Luz started talking more, small pieces of her life slipping out. She'd grown up in Oaxaca, married at 20, had her daughter, Sophia, at 22. Her husband left when Sophia was 5, took off to the States, never came back. This stall's my life now, she said one night, wiping down her counter while I rolled dough. Keeps us fed, keeps me moving. Her voice was steady, but there was a crack in it, like she was holding back a flood. I wanted to ask more, but her hands kept moving, so I let it go. I told her about Mexico City, the noise, the way it swallowed me. How I came back for my sister, but stayed because Oaxaca felt like home, even if it hurt. You running from something? She asked, her eyes sharp. Maybe, I said, and she nodded, like she understood. We didn't push, just let the words hang, heavy and real. 02:36. That night, I found a photo in the bakery's back room, stuck in a drawer. Luz, younger, holding a baby, smiling like the world was hers. I didn't mean to snoop, but it stopped me cold. When she saw me with it, her face tightened. That's Sophia, she said, taking it, her fingers brushing mine. Better times. You look happy, I said, feeling dumb, she said, and tucked the photo away, closing the drawer like it sealed off the past. Chapter 4, the unspoken line. 03:08 October came, the air cooler, the mercado buzzing with Dia de los Muertos prep. Luz and I had a rhythm, her buying bread, me saving conscious, small talk that felt bigger every night. I liked her, more than I wanted to admit. She was older, a mother, carrying a life I couldn't touch, but there was something in the way she'd lean close, pointing out a smudge on the counter, her arm brushing mine. It wasn't nothing, but it wasn't something I could name either. One night, we were stacking crates behind her stall, our shoulders almost touching. You ever think about leaving Oaxaca? I asked, my voice low. Every day, she said, not looking up. But Sophia's here, this stall's here. She paused, then added, and you. It was so quiet I almost missed it. My heart stopped, and when I looked at her, her eyes were on me, unguarded, like she'd let something slip. 03:40 We didn't talk about it after, but it changed things. I started staying later, helping her close her stall, carrying crates she didn't ask me to. She'd let me, didn't say much, but her smiles were softer, her glances longer. Once, she handed me a mango from her stock, our fingers touching, and neither of us pulled away. It was small, but it burned, like a spark in the dark. Careful, Mateo, she said once, her voice teasing but heavy. You're gonna make me think you like me. Maybe I do, I said, and her laugh was low, like she knew what I meant. Chapter 5, The Forbidden Touch. 04:12 November hit, and the mercado was quiet, just us and the night vendors. One night, the bakery's fan broke, and we ended up in the back room, looking for a spare. It was cramped, shelves packed with flour sacks, the air thick with sugar and dust. Luz reached for a box, her sleeve catching on a hook, tearing a small rip. She laughed, but when I looked, I saw her shoulder, smooth, freckled, glowing under the dim bulb. You okay? I asked, my voice catching. Fine, she said, but her eyes were on mine, and we were close, too close. I reached out, not thinking, and brushed her sleeve, my fingers grazing her skin. She didn't move, just breathed out, slow, like she was holding something in. Mateo, she said, her voice barely there, and I froze, my hand still on her arm. 04:44 We didn't move for a second, maybe two. Then she stepped back, her hand brushing mine as she pulled away. We can't, she said, but it wasn't angry, just heavy, like she was talking to herself. I nodded, my throat tight, and we went back to the fan, like nothing happened. But it did, and we both knew it. The air was different after, thick with what we didn't say that night. I lay awake, replaying her voice, her touch, the way her eyes held mine. I knew it was wrong, her daughter, her past, my place here, but I couldn't stop thinking about her, about us. Chapter 6, The Weight of Silence. 05:16 December was hot, the mercado buzzing with holiday shoppers, but the nights were still ours. Luz and I kept working, kept talking, but there was a wall now, one we built ourselves. She'd smile, hand me a coffee she bought from another stall, but her eyes didn't linger. I wanted to ask about that night, about what she meant, but the words stuck. Instead, we talked about bread, the weather, anything safe. One night, she stayed late, arranging fruit while I swept. You're quiet tonight, she said, not looking up, just tired. I lied. She nodded, but I saw her hands pause, like she wanted to say more. We locked up in silence, her standing closer than she needed to, her shoulder brushing mine as we checked the stall. It was small, but it kept me awake. 05:48 I started noticing more, her necklace, a small silver cross, glinting under the mercado's lights. The way she'd hum when she thought no one heard. How she'd pause by her stall, staring at the street like it held answers. I wanted to know her, not just the vendor, not just Sophia's mom, but her. And that want, it scared me, because it wasn't just a crush. It was deeper, heavier, something I couldn't shake. Chapter 7, the breaking point, 06:20 January brought rain, heavy and relentless, the Mercado's roof leaking in corners. The bakery was empty, just us, the radio crackling with static. We were cleaning the oven, side by side, when she slipped, caught herself on my arm. Her hand stayed there, warm, steady, and I didn't pull away. "Sorry," she said, but she didn't move, and neither did I. "Luz," I said, my voice low, "what are we doing?" She looked at me, her eyes tired but open. "I don't know," she said. "But I don't want to stop." My heart pounded, and I leaned closer, just enough to feel her breath. We didn't kiss, didn't touch, but the air was alive, like a storm building. Then a customer knocked, breaking it, and she stepped back, answering like nothing happened. 06:52 After that, we were careful, too careful. She'd avoid being alone with me, send me to the bakery when her stall closed. But I'd catch her looking, her eyes meeting mine across the Mercado, quick, then gone. It was like we were circling something neither of us could name, something that'd burn us if we got too close. I hated it, but I couldn't leave, not the bakery, not her. Chapter 8, The Confession, 07:24 February came, and the tension broke. We were closing, just us, the Mercado silent except for the rain. I was wiping down the counter when she came over, her hair loose, her face softer than I'd seen. "Mateo," she said, standing by the bakery, "I need to say something." I stopped, my rag in hand. "Okay. I'm not sorry about that night," she said, her voice steady but quiet. "I should be, but I'm not. And that scares me." "Scares me too," I said, and it was the truth. "But I don't want to forget it." She nodded, her eyes on mine, and for a moment, we were just two people, not vendor and baker, not mother and drifter. "We can't do this," she said, but her voice cracked, like she didn't believe it. 07:56 We didn't touch, didn't cross that line again, but we talked, really talked. She told me about her husband, how he promised to come back, how she'd waited years before giving up. I told her about Mexico City, the nights I'd spent lost, the way Oaxaca pulled me back. It wasn't much, but it made the Mercado feel smaller, closer, like it was ours. Chapter 9, The Unspoken Promise, 08:28 March was warmer, the Mercado alive with flowers and music. Luz and I settled into something new, not a relationship, not quite, but a closeness that didn't need words. We'd work late, share coffee, laugh at small things, a broken scale, a kid stealing an orange. Her touch was careful, a hand on my arm, a brush of her fingers when she handed me bread, but it was there, and it was enough. One night, we sat by her stall after closing, the Mercado dark, the air thick with rain. "You ever think about going back to Mexico City?" she asked, her voice soft. "Not really," I said. "You?" "Sometimes," she said, looking at the street. "But not enough to leave." I nodded, and we sat there, the rain falling, our shoulders almost touching. It wasn't a promise, but it felt like 1.09:00. The Mercado's owner started talking about renovations, new stalls, higher rent. Luz was stressed, counting coins late, her hands shaking when she packed fruit. "If this place changes, I'm done," she said one night, her voice breaking. I wanted to hold her, tell her it'd be okay, but I just stood there, useless. "You'd find a way," I said, lame as it sounded. "Maybe," she said, but her eyes were distant, like she was already somewhere else. Chapter 10, The Lingering Warmth, 09:32 It's 2016 now, and the bakery's still here, still ours, for now. Luz and I keep the routine, bread, coffee, late nights. We don't talk about that night in the back room, or the almost kiss by the oven, but it's there, in the way she looks at me, the way I stay later than I need to. The Mercado's busier, vendors shouting, tourists bargaining, but it's still just us after midnight, the air sweet with sugar, the streets humming outside. That I think about her husband, her necklace, the years she's carried alone. I think about Mexico City, the life I left, the one I'm building here. We're not lovers, not really, but we're something, two people caught in a bakery, in a Mercado, in something we can't name. I see her now, arranging mangoes, her hair loose, and I know I'll stay, not because I have to, but because I want to. Because whatever this is, it's enough. For now. Conclusion, The Scent of Sugar, 09:35, it's 2019 now, 3 years since I wrote those last words about the bakery, about Luz, about us. I'm 32, still kneading dough at La Rosa in Oaxaca City's Mercado, the same cracked tiles under my feet, the same oven humming through the night. Oaxaca's still a riot of color, marigolds in the stalls, music spilling from the streets, but at night, it's just me, the heat, and the dust settling in the dark. The bakery's hanging on, barely, shelves sagging more than ever, the sign outside faded to a ghost of itself. Luz is still next door, still selling mangoes and limes, still moving like she's carrying the whole mercado on her shoulders. I'm still here too, still Mexican, still tethered to this place, to her, though I don't know what that means anymore. 09:57, the past 3 years have been a slow burn, like dough rising too long in the heat. We keep the bakery and her stall going, me shaping bolillos, Luz sorting fruit, both of us dodging the owner's threats about rent hikes and renovations. He's some guy from Mexico City, doesn't care about the mercado, just wants more money. Luz fights it, haggles with him, her voice sharp when she talks on the phone, but soft when she turns to me, handing me a coffee she bought from the stall across the way, no sugar, like she knows. We've got a rhythm, sweep floors, stack crates, close up at 3 a.m. The mercado's empty then, just the creak of shutters and the distant bark of dogs, and we'll sit sometimes, on the steps outside, not talking, just breathing in the night. Luz has changed, in small ways. Her hair's got a few gray strands now, woven into her braid, and her eyes carry a weight, not just from late nights but from holding everything together, Sophia, the stall, her life. She still wears her silver cross necklace, glinting under the mercado's lights, a reminder of her past, maybe of the lines we don't cross. I don't ask about it, never have, but I notice it every time she leans over to hand me a conchas or brushes past me in the narrow alley between our stalls. It's a quiet boundary, one we both see but don't touch. 10:19, we've built something, Luz and I, though I can't name it. Not love, not exactly, but something close, something that lives in the small moments, her saving me a mango, me leaving her the best pan dulce wrapped in paper. We argue sometimes, little things, like when I forget to lock the bakery or she snaps about a late delivery. Mateo, you gotta check the door, she said once, her voice sharp, and I shot back, maybe if you didn't change the schedule every week. We didn't talk for a night, but then she left a coffee on the counter, and I knew we were okay. That's us, messy, careful, tied together by this mercado and something we don't say out loud. That I think about that night in the back room, her sleeve tearing, my fingers on her skin. I think about the almost kiss by the oven, the way her breath felt so close. We haven't touched like that again, not really, but it's there, in the way her hand lingers when she passes me a crate, the way I catch her looking when she thinks I'm not. It's not nothing, but it's not something we can have, not fully. She's Luz, mother, vendor, someone who's carried too much for too long. And I'm just Mateo, the baker, the guy who came back to Oaxaca and found her. 10:41, the mercado's struggling. Tourists come for Dia de los Muertos, but the off-season's brutal, just us and a few locals buying bread and fruit. Luz works harder, stays later, her hands shaking when she counts coins. I help where I can, fixing a shelf, hauling her crates, even selling bread when the morning guy's late. The fruit vendor across from us, an old man named Jorge, says we're fools, says the mercado's dying. You and Luz, you're like those old mules, too stubborn to quit, he said once, laughing. I didn't laugh back. He doesn't get it, doesn't see the way Luz looks at the mercado, like it's the only thing keeping her steady. That I found a notebook in her stall last year, tucked under a stack of receipts, Luz's, not a ledger, just pages of lists, sketches, bits of thoughts. One page had my name, written small, like she didn't want anyone to see. Mateo, too good, too young. I didn't tell her I saw it, but it stayed with me, like a song stuck in my head. I wonder what she meant, if she's scared of me, of us, or if it's something deeper. something about her she keeps hidden. 11:03 We've had close calls. Last summer, the owner came down, a slick guy in sunglasses, talking about turning the Mercado into a modern plaza. Luz argued, her voice steady but her hands clenched, said the stalls are Oaxaca's heart, not some mall. He didn't care, just checked his watch, said he'd give her 6 months to sort it out. We stayed up all night after, going through her earnings, trying to make it work. We can't lose this, she said, her voice cracking, and I wanted to hold her, but I didn't. Just sat there, passing her coffee, feeling helpless. That night, she leaned against me, just for a second, her head on my shoulder. You don't have to stay, Mateo, she said, quiet. This isn't your fight. It's ours, I said, and she didn't argue, just nodded, her eyes on the floor. We didn't save the stall that night, but we kept it going, one day at a time. 11:25 The Mercado's changing. New stalls opening, shiny ones with signs in English, tourists snapping photos of the marigolds. It's good for Oaxaca, but it makes me uneasy. More people, more eyes on the bakery, on us. Last fall, a woman from a local paper came by, asking about the soul of the Mercado. Luz brushed her off, said it's just a place to sell fruit, but the woman kept pushing, asking about old vendors, old stories. I saw Luz's hands shake when she handed her a mango, saw the way she glanced at me, like she was scared the woman would see too much. That I wanted to tell her it's okay, that no one knows about us, about that night, about the way we are. But I didn't, because what could I say? That I think about her every time I need dough, every time the Mercado quiets down. That I see her in the dust, in the heat, in the glow of the bakery's lights. She knows, I think, but we don't say it. We just keep going, keep the stalls alive, keep whatever this is alive. 11:47 Luz is different now, more open, but still guarded. She'll laugh sometimes, a low, warm sound that catches me off guard, makes my chest ache. She'll talk about her husband, not often, but enough, how he danced to the radio, how he left without a word. I hated him for it, she said once, sitting by her stall, her hands wrapped around a mug. But now, I don't know. It's just part of me. Like the Mercado? I asked. Like you, she said, and then looked away, like she hadn't meant to say it. I didn't push, just let it sit, heavy and real, between us. 12:09 We've had moments, small ones, that keep me here. Last winter, the bakery's oven broke, and we spent a night fixing it, laughing when flour dusted her hair, turning it white. Her braid was loose, clinging to her face, and I brushed it back, my fingers grazing her cheek. She didn't pull away, just looked at me, her eyes soft, unguarded. Careful, she said, but it wasn't a warning, not really. It was something else, something we didn't follow, but it was there. Another time, we were closing, the Mercado dark, the rain loud. She handed me my jacket, her fingers brushing mine, and I held her hand, just for a second, before letting go. Good night, Mateo, she said, her voice low, and I felt it, the pull, the ache, the thing we don't name. 12:31 The owner's back, pushing harder now. Says the Mercado's done, says the land's worth more than we make in a year. Luz fights, but she's tired, I can see it. Her hands shake when she writes lists, her voice cracks when she talks to vendors. I help where I can, take extra shifts, but it's not enough. Jorge quit last month, said he's done with this old market. It's just us now, Luz and me, and a few vendors who barely showed that. I found another note in her notebook, tucked under a crate, my name again, with "Don't let him stay" written next to it. I don't know if it's about me leaving the bakery or something else, something deeper. I didn't ask, just put it back, but it's there, in my head, every time I see her. 12:53 The Mercado's alive now, summer 2019, tourists everywhere, kids running with tamales, music spilling from new stalls. The bakery's a holdout, a stubborn old thing that doesn't fit. Luz and I keep it running, but it's harder, like pushing against the tide. We don't talk about the future, not really, but I see it in her eyes, the fear, the weight. We'll figure it out, I say, and she nods, but it's not conviction, it's just habit. Point one night, we're closing, the air warm, the lights buzzing. She's arranging fruit, slow, like she's memorizing it. You ever think about what's next? I ask, leaning against the counter. All the time, she says, not looking up. But I don't know if I'm ready. For what? I ask, my voice low. For anything else, she says, and her eyes meet mine, raw, open, like she's letting me see her for the first time. 13:15 We've had one big fight, just one, last spring. The owner sent papers, a final notice, and Luz was furious, tearing through her stall, throwing receipts. I can't lose this, she said, her voice breaking. I tried to calm her, said we'd find a way, but she turned on me. You don't get it, Mateo. This isn't your home. You can leave. It stung, worse than I expected. Maybe I don't want to, I said, and she stopped, her hands shaking, her eyes wet. I'm sorry, she said, quiet, and I nodded, but we didn't touch, didn't close the gap. We just went back to work, like always. 13:37 I think about her husband, about the photo I found, her holding Sophia, smiling. I think about Mexico City, the life I left, the one I'm living now. I think about Luz, her necklace, her hands, the way she looks at me when the mercado's empty. We're not lovers, not in the way people mean, but we're something, two people caught in a bakery, in a mercado, in a city that's moving on without us. I see her now, sorting limes, her hair slipping loose, and I know I'm staying, not because I have to, but because I can't imagine anywhere else. 13:59 Last week, we sat by her stall after closing, the rain loud, the air cool. She leaned against me, her shoulder against mine, and I felt it, the weight of her, the warmth. You're still here, she said, her voice soft. So are you, I said, and she smiled, that low, warm smile that makes my chest ache. We didn't say more, just sat there, the mercado dark behind us, the rain stretching out in front. It's not a promise, not a plan, but it's enough. 14:21 The owner's coming next month, says it's final this time. Luz is ready to fight, but I see the strain, the way her hands shake, the way her eyes go distant. I'll fight with her, take shifts, make calls, whatever it takes. The bakery's not just a job, not just a place, it's us, it's what we've built, fragile as it is. I found another note yesterday, in her notebook, just my name, no words. I don't know what it means, but I kept it, folded in my pocket, like a secret I'm not ready to let go. 14:43 It's late now, the bakery quiet, the lights flickering. Luz is at her stall, her silhouette soft through the dark. I'm kneading dough, the air sweet, the radio humming some old song. I think about that night, her sleeve, her skin, the way we didn't cross that line but wanted to. I think about her laugh, her hands, the way she says my name. I think about the mercado, the dust, the life we're holding on to. We're not forever, Luz and I, but we're now, and as I stand here, the dough warm, her shadow moving, I know it's enough. For now.